Er war ein Revolutionär im Gewand eines Heiligen, Mahatma Gandhi. Indien befreite er von der britischen Kolonialmacht durch Hungerstreiks, durch zivilen Ungehorsam, gewaltfrei. Der Kämpfer für ein gerechtes Indien. So jedenfalls sieht unser Bild aus von Mahatma Gandhi. Falsch, sagt sie, Arundhati Roy, Indiens renommierteste Schriftstellerin. Wir müssen diesen Mann ganz anders sehen. Wir sollten Gandhi nicht länger als Mythos feiern.
Wie lange noch sollen wir auf diese Idee von absoluter Güte, auf diese Moralinstanz bauen? Es ist eine Lüge.
Arundhati Roy, Indiens streitbarste Intellektuelle. Ihr Welterfolg begann mit dem Roman Der Gott der kleinen Dinge. Seitdem hat sie, die in Neu-Delhi lebt, wenig Zeit für Literarisches. Sie schrieb gegen den Kapitalismus, leistete schon als junge Frau Widerstand gegen Staudämme, immer gewaltfrei wie der große Gandhi, der in allen Biografien verklärt wurde. Und weltweit umso mehr im Oscar-gekrönten Hollywood-Film Gandhi. Es war ein Schock für Roy, als sie anfing nachzuforschen.
Wir müssen den Engländern Widerstand bieten.
Ich glaube an Gewaltlosigkeit. Aber ich verstehe nicht, wie Gandhi seine Doktrin der Gewaltlosigkeit einfach so auf einem System von permanenter Gewalt aufbauen konnte.
Ein System der permanenten Gewalt? Roy meint das brutale Kastensystem des Hinduismus, das die Menschen seit Jahrhunderten in Kasten einteilt, die alles bestimmen. Beruf, Ehepartner, Status. Und auf der untersten Stufe stehen die sogenannten Unberührbaren, außerhalb des Systems. Gandhi wollte sie integrieren, aber das Kastensystem an sich wollte er, der tiefgläubige Hindu, nie abschaffen. Im Gegensatz zu ihm, Bhimrao Ambedkar, im Westen relativ unbekannt. Der Sozialreformer wurde zum Gegner Gandhis. Er wollte Indien nicht nur von den Briten, sondern auch vom Kastensystem befreien.
Wann immer Sie in Indien in Häuser sehr armer Menschen kommen, dort hängt nie ein Bild von Gandhi, sondern immer nur von Ambedkar. Speziell bei den Unberührbaren. Gandhi-Fotos gibt es nur in Regierungsgebäuden, in den Häusern der Privilegierten.
Ambedkar ging in seinen Forderungen viel weiter als Gandhi. Er war selbst einst ein Unberührbarer, ein Sklave des Hindusystems, ohne jegliche Rechte, wurde ausgegrenzt. Nur durch glückliche Zufälle konnte er Jurist werden. Ambedkar forderte das Ende des Kastenunrechts. Nachzulesen in seinem Hauptwerk von 1936, Die Abschaffung der Kasten. Für eine Neuauflage dieses Buches schrieb Roy das Vorwort und dabei entdeckte sie Texte von Gandhi, die bisher wenig beachtet wurden. Zum Beispiel aus seiner Zeit in Südafrika, wo er Anfang des 20. Jahrhunderts als Anwalt für reiche Inder arbeitete. Was bis heute wenige wissen, auf Schwarze blickte er damals herab. Öffentliche Eingänge für Farbige will er nicht benutzen. Gandhi aus einer hohen Kaste nennt diese Menschen Kaffer, ein Schimpfwort. War der junge Gandhi Rassist?
Ist es rassistisch, Menschen als wild, verdreckt, unmoralisch, als geborene Lügner zu bezeichnen? Sagen Sie es mir.
War Gandhi zu sehr im Kastensystem verhaftet? Obwohl er allem Luxus entsagte, suchte er die Nähe der Mächtigen. Seine Ashrams und Projekte wurden finanziert von Großindustriellen aus den hohen Kasten, denen eben auch er entstammte.
Gandhi sagt, die Kasten seien das Geniale an der indischen Zivilisation. Jeder sollte bei seinem ererbten Beruf bleiben. Die Unberührbaren, Valmiki oder Bhangi, wie er sie nannte, sollten lebenslang die Scheiße anderer wegräumen. Dies sei ihre göttliche Pflicht.
Eine göttliche Pflicht? Genau darin sieht Roy das Problem. 60 Jahre nach Gandhi prägen die hinduistischen Kasten Indien noch heute. Ein archaisches Privilegiensystem, das Armut und Gewalt erzeugt. Und die Unberührbaren, heute Dalits genannt, werden noch immer wie Abschaum behandelt. Es gibt Massenvergewaltigungen an Dalit-Frauen. Doch protestiert wie 2012 wird nur, wenn es Frauen aus hohen Kasten trifft. Und der Westen? sei verblendet, sagt Roy.
Das Thema Kaste geht unter in der Mystik, im Hinduismus, unserer Begeisterung für Yoga und den Vegetarismus. Man schaut da lieber weg. Dabei ist es vielleicht das brutalste Hierarchiesystem, das die Welt bis heute kennt.
Und deshalb ist Roys Gandhi-Kritik vor allem eins: ein Aufschrei gegen dieses System, das Gandhi gestützt hat. Zeit, einen Mythos zu überdenken.
I had a wonderful relationship with him. Arun Gandhi, grandson of Mahatma Gandhi. I think that he was a very sincere person. He was a very committed person. He was a very humble person.
Colonel G.B. Singh, author of Gandhi Behind the Mask of Divinity. Behind this image of Gandhi that we came to accept, there's a lot more going on. Gandhi's politics in South Africa was driven by race, particularly a racial hatred of black people, calling them kafirs, which is uncivilized, uneducated animals. He did not want to be with them, he did not like their food, he did not like their behaviors, he just had nothing to do with them.
But I was very careful to make my own position very clear.
He sure did. Gandhi started a newspaper, Indian Opinion, in which he laid out his racial beliefs in 4 languages.
Gandhi had written at least 16 columns in that newspaper, inciting the Indians to go after blacks.
I don't agree that grandfather was a racist. You know, he was living in a different era, in different circumstances than we are living now.
If you happen to go to volume 8 and 9 of collected works of Mahatma Gandhi, you can read Gandhi's own writings about those racial hatred of black people.
Gandhi never claimed to be a saint. He said he had all the weaknesses of an ordinary person, and one of the weaknesses was sexual.
Gandhi is sleeping naked with young girls. What? He's sleeping naked with the girls, and the girls are naked too.
Grandfather did indulge in this experiment to find out whether he had been able to conquer his sexual, weaknesses.
What he's doing is preserving his semen, and according to the yoga doctrine, that gives him a spiritual power.
Sources say Gandhi was concerned about internal cleanliness and routinely received enemas and also performed enemas on young girls.
No, that's wrong. He never performed enemas on young girls.
Giving enemas became a standard operating procedure for him.
Oh!
The Holy Father will ask them, the sisters, did you have a good bowel movement? And of course, if sisters didn't have the good bowel movement, the Holy Father would be ready there to put it in the back and let them have the enema. So early in the morning, the shit is all over.
What the fuck?
Just for the record, 2 city council members rejected this idea of a statue here. They wanted a review. We appreciate the mayor and city council member league. Indian government, 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 Indian.
And we've got a record, letters from himself, Mahatma Gandhi, calling black people savages, black people kafirs, and he was never involved in the fight against apartheid when he was in South Africa, actually.
If somebody has statues in about 70 countries in the world and people still remember and revere him, there should be a lot more to him than what he did in the first years of his early days.
That he promoted that Indians are pretty much at a more superior level than Africans.
I just can't go and believe what people are saying today, because that is happening about so many people and about so many issues all over the world.
Mahatma Gandhi was a champion of non-violence in South Africa, blah, 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 blah. But eventually the truth comes out. The people begin to see, they can read on their own. And we've got a record, letters from himself, Mahatma Gandhi, calling black people savages, black people cafes, and he was never involved in the fight against apartheid when he was in South Africa actually.
He has been well quoted in several publications, some his own publications, in which he uttered sentiments to the fact that black Africans are subhuman and at lower levels as compared to Indians and Europeans, mainly during his time as a lawyer in colonial South Africa. Also, to the fact that this deal has been done in a clandestine manner. There was no transparency. The government, our government, did not do due diligence. Gandhi has never set foot in Malawi, and really, there's no connection between Gandhi and Malawi.
Just because Gandhi started his political career in South Africa, Africans think that, he's a great guy, but lately they have been finding out.
Some students of Ghana's premier university, the University of Ghana, are demanding for the removal of a statue of Gandhi from the university's premises. Their reason? Mahatma Gandhi was an anti-African and a black racist in thought, words and deeds.
The statue of Mahatma Gandhi has been a subject of controversy for some few weeks now among lecturers at the University of Ghana. Now, the statue, which was unveiled in June this year, essentially was donated by the Indian government, has brought lots of controversy because Mahatma Gandhi, as it were, is known to be anti-black and a racist.
Someone said something about Gandhi being racist, and I was like, huh?
He was divisive, racist, and classist, oppressive even toward his own people. The statue says his life is his message, and that is the sad part, because his life is something that has not been told correctly.
Most people in the world know about Gandhi through Richard Attenborough's film, which was really a terrible distortion of history.
But the real Gandhi was a hateful Gandhi.
The real Gandhi spewed racism against Africans.
He only referred to Africans as Kafirs or savages.
During his stint in South Africa, he looked down on black people in Africa. He called them Kafirs.
He hated the South Africans, the natives. He thought that the Kafirs were uncivilized. He compared them to animals.
And he calls them savages and Kafirs.
He referred to them as savage, half heathen, 1 degree from an animal, kafir, which is a very derogatory term. So all of these things.
He sought to denigrate blacks to a lower level, and he used language which was clearly racist, such as kafir. These are raw people, these are naked people who cannot stand for their own right. Therefore, there should be different status for Indians and for blacks.
He always fought for whites to be superior and for blacks to be inferior. And when he came with the idea of equality or a complex system in South Africa, it wasn't so that the blacks could be treated better, but it was just so that the Indians wouldn't have to be treated like blacks.
Gandhi believed in racial segregation. His first victory in South Africa was to campaign for a third entrance to be opened in the Durban post office, so Indians would not have to use the same entrance as Kafirs.
He chose to further participate in the denigration of African people.
He was actually very much so instrumental in that apartheid system that was set up in the early 1900s, to the point to where he's thought of as being the father of apartheid.
Now, another thing that he's known, especially amongst the black people in South Africa, is as the father of apartheid. Now, they are talking about this in terms of institutionalized apartheid. Before this, it was British at the top, everyone else underneath. Now, Gandhi, he appealed to the British saying, look, we're all Indo-Aryans. So as Indo-Aryans, you shouldn't let us be associated and classed with the raw Kafir again. Now, later on, people who didn't know about Gandhi's earlier role, they say, oh, look, we looked at Gandhi and we got inspiration to fight against apartheid. But they don't know that if it wasn't for Gandhi specifically, not all the Indians, Gandhi specifically, they wouldn't have had apartheid as it existed and as it manifested.
There has been a very distressing misrepresentation of history by the court historians, and it is a scandal that's basically hidden in plain sight.
The racist past is what we think should be exposed for the world to know, because there seems to be a gloss over that aspect of his life.
And to erect a statue like that, to erect the tons of statues that we see all over, to continue to propagate him as a man of peace is a slap in the face.
It really, is a blow to the dignity of African people.
I am a staunch believer of the African personality and identity and the dignity of Africans. And so, to find such a racist statue on our campus is more insulting than I could have ever imagined, and that I support that statue to be pulled down.
I think that the guy is a racist, and I'm not sure his statue should be allowed to be in this school, because it doesn't serve as a good example for we the students over here to learn from. So I think that statue should go off.
There's a problem with the statutes in the sense that Gandhi has a racist past, and in a situation or an environment where we champion the cause of equality, racial equality, I don't think that this statute has a place here.
Protesters want Gandhi's statue removed from Leicester. They say Gandhi was a fascist, racist and sexual predator. An online petition demanding the statue's removal has received more than 5,000 signatures. The petition claims that Gandhi used words like uncivilized, savages and dirty to refer to Africans.
But his legacy is changing in some parts of the world. This statue was removed from a university in Ghana after students rallied against it, all because they say that Mahatma Gandhi was racist. A statue of the leader was also protested in California, and another one was vandalized in South Africa. But it was Gandhi's early writings in South Africa that have cast a shadow on his legacy. During a speech in Mumbai in 1896, he spoke of the savage half-heathen natives who spend their lives in indolence and nakedness. He used the derogatory slur for blacks in South Africa, Kafir, liberally in his writings. Some accuse Gandhi of believing in the superiority of the Aryan race, thinking that blacks were inferior to whites and Indians. In fact, one of the first legal battles Gandhi fought for in South Africa was to demand a separate entrance for Indians at post offices, so they were not classed with blacks.
Wer erkennen will, muss hinsehen.
To continue to propagate him as a man of peace is a slap in the face.
Get her! Bastard!
Wu-Tang!